Double plus good morning, comrades, and welcome to 1984 by George Orwell. If there were such a thing as justice, Donald Trump and other populists would have to pay massive royalties to George Orwell because his novel 1984 is a beginner's guide to alternative facts and mass manipulation via media. So, hands above the blanket and wake up, Big Brother is watching you. Today's cast are Winston Smith, 39 years old, 5 false teeth, a varicose ulcer on his leg, works at Minitrue, the Ministry of Truth. Julia is 26, sportive, pretty, and is at first sight a party fanatic, which is why she's wearing the red scarf of the Anti-Sex League, because the party wants to abolish sex and lust. And after retiring as a Starfleet engineer, O'Brien is a member of the Inner Party, which is why he's wearing a black overall. He's absolutely trustworthy, anyone can see that at first sight. And then there are neighbors, colleagues, proles, a kind of subhuman species in this totalitarian state, and our friends from the Thought Police. The novel is set in 1984 in London, which belongs to Oceania, one of the 3 superstates that wage global wars incessantly on each other. Winston is at home in his flat and sits in front of his diary. Dear diary, I saw your cream-colored paper and knew I had to write in you, even if it means capital punishment because of thought crime against the party. In this corner the telescreen won't see me. This is the telescreen. Ingenious idea of Orwell's. A device that incessantly entertains and spies on people and is never switched off, just like the computer or smartphone in front of which you're just sitting. Always this propaganda, including the 2-minute hate every day. That's something like a commercial break. For 2 minutes, every citizen hates public enemy number 1, Edward Snowden. Immanuel Goldstein. Today, there was this girl, black-haired, good-looking. She must be a Thought Police spy, but luckily O'Brien was there as well. I'm sure I can trust him. Knock, knock. Mrs. Parsons, the neighbor, enters and goes, Comrade Smith, could you repair our sink, please? If it's absolutely necessary, and he folds himself under the sink, and has hardly repaired it when he is hit by the catapult of the little asshole kid of Mrs. Parsons and goes, Oi, you! Goldstein, thought criminal! I want to see that execution, Mum! And Winston's glad that at least he didn't have any children with a woman he was married to and from whom he lives separated since many years. At night, he first dreams of his mum and little sister who vanished when he was still a child. No! And then of the Golden Country, a kind of beautiful rural landscape, including the party fanatic of the 2-minute hate this noon who rips her clothes off. No! Also, the telescreen is just ringing. Morning exercise! Get up, everyone! All the way down, Smith! And he has to really hurt himself with his gymnastics before he's allowed to go to work. I'm working at Minitrue, the Ministry of Truth. This is my desk in front of the telescreen. And here I correct newspapers. Like, if someone is vaporized, has never lived because he has been a thought criminal, then obviously he can't have been in the newspaper, so we edit him out. The party controls the past. Moop. Lunch break. During lunch break, he first meets his colleague Syme. You got any razor blades? No, sorry. And in order to distract from the fact that he's lying, so how's the Newspeak dictionary coming along? Yeah, getting on really well. We got fewer and fewer words until nobody will be able to think wrongly ever again. Only good think will be left. When Parsons is coming along. Hello, Smith, you got any razor blades? No, sorry. He's stinking of sweat. And he turns around, and that girl's sitting there again. No, she's looking at me again. And at home he writes in his diary, which he's keeping very precisely now, Dear diary, I have to admit something. A couple of years ago I frequented a prostitute. She was really old, but we still did it to spite the party. This is so sick. Our only hope lies in the proles, or I'm going mad. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 makes 4. And because he feels absolutely rebellious now, he takes a walk to the proles quarter. Wah! Rocket bomb! But he's lucky. It's a state of war, bombs all over the place. So he goes to a pub and meets an old man. Rare occasion. People usually vanish at a rather young age and get vaporized. And he says to the old man, Tell me, how was it once upon a time in capitalism? You must know this. Were the capitalists really all such pigs? Yeah, the capitalists, one of them even pushed me once. Sigh, because he can't get anything reliable out of the old man. And automatically his feet carry him to the junk shop of Mr. Charrington's, which is also in the workers' district and where he has bought the diary he's using now. What's this? It's a paperweight with a piece of coral, but I've got something to show you. I've got a spare room upstairs. And Smith is enthused. Boah, a spare room! What's this on the wall? It's a picture of an old church name of St. Clement's. Orange and lemon say the bells of St. Clement's. Gesundheit. Well, that's only a nursery rhyme. Then Winston goes home, and whom should he meet on the way but the party soldier? And he goes, No, she'll tell on me! But nothing happens. He goes to work next day, and on the way to the loo, he meets the girl again. She also works at the ministry at one of the novel-writing machines. She has a bandaged arm, stumbles, and boom, falls down, and he goes, Wait, I'll help you up. Thanks, my arm. And he goes, Huh? She's put something into my hand, a slip of paper on which is written, I love you. What? I'm going nuts. First he's paralyzed with shock, then he arranges, in several attempts, a chance meeting in the canteen, a meeting in Victory Square, then she tells him where they are to meet on a Sunday afternoon. He leaves London and goes to the country, turns around and goes, no, this is the landscape from my dream, the golden country. And they meet in a little forest and he goes, what do you see in me? I'm 39-year-old. I got a varicose ulcer and 5 false teeth. I don't mind. And kiss. She brought chocolate and they have sex with each other. What do you see in me? Someone who hates the party too. My mission is sex. I've done it with dozens of men. That doesn't really trouble Winston. They have a good time together. They meet again, sometimes in the spare room of Mr. Charrington's, and they look out of the window and go, we are dead already, because they know they'll get caught sooner or later. And she goes, but not yet. When he is at work again someday, he's got a lot of work to do, and on the way to the loo, he meets O'Brien. Hello, Smith. You write such an elegant newspeak. If you want to have a look at the latest edition of the dictionary, drop by at my place. And he gives him his private address. And Winston goes, yes, I've always known it. He's part of the resistance, Goldstein's brotherhood. Then he's at their love nest with Julia again. They sleep, and he wakes with a start. I've had this nightmare. I dreamt how I betrayed my mother and sister as a kid. We were starving. I stole part of their chocolate and run away, and when I came back, they were gone, never came back. And she goes, well, kids are always pigs. Listen, when we get caught, we'll certainly confess, cause everyone confesses. That's true. But I will always love you. Me too. And they go to O'Brien's place together, although Julia hadn't been invited. He receives them, and first thing he does is switch off the telescreen. Julia goes, what? You can turn off your telescreen? Yeah, it's one of the little privileges of the inner party. Have a glass of wine. Cheers. Welcome to the resistance. I've always known it. What can we do? Well, what do you want to do? We'll do anything, including the spread of venereal diseases. Okay, so you're engaged and get Goldstein's book to read. And by the way, the cavalry is not going to save your asses when you get caught, which will be the case sooner or later. Next thing, there is Hate Week, which means a gigantic propaganda effort is made. Masses of people hate away at the enemy, and a party representative delivers a great speech. And in the middle of his oration, he goes, Oceania is at war with Eurasia, at war with Eastasia. We've always been at war with Eastasia. This small alteration of the truth, alternative fact, means that Winston, just as everybody else, has to work massive overtime at Minitrue because the entire history of Oceania has to be rewritten. Well, at least I got Goldstein's book from a courier, and he reads it, first alone, then together with Julia when they are at their love nest. He reads to her. The most important aim of the party is to keep the people poor. I've always known it. Julia, are you asleep? And he goes to sleep as well. And when they awake, the light is so strange and they go, shit, have we slept through the night? Because they have to go home at night where they are spied on by the telescreen. We are the dead. When a metallic voice behind them repeats, you are the dead. A telescreen had been hidden behind the picture of St. Clement's all the time. At once, the thought police are arresting them, and it turns out that nice Mr. Charrington had been a member of the thought police all along and had been setting them up. Then Winston's time in the white-tiled rooms begins in the cells of the Ministry of Love, or Mini-Love. First, he has to wait for a very long time, and then, to his surprise, his neighbor Parsons enters, and he goes, no, Parsons, this is impossible, you've always been the perfect party soldier. Yeah, my daughter denounced me, I'm so proud of her. I said down with Big Brother in my sleep. I'm so glad they got me before it got worse. And Winston goes, freaking hell. And bang, one day, O'Brien enters, and Smith goes, no, did they get you too? Yeah. They got me a long time ago. Oh, I see. He understands that O'Brien had always been a member of the thought police. Next, Winston is beaten up and abused until he confesses everything they want him to confess. Then the special treatment with O'Brien begins. Right, Winston, I've got a device here. If I push the button... Ah! Exactly, you got the point. What country is at war with Oceania? Eastasia? Exactly. Since when? A week. Ah! Sorry, I've got to double think, don't I? Exactly, double think. The technique of knowing one thing and saying the other, depending on the situation. What is 2 + 2? 4. Ah! How many fingers am I holding up? No fingers, it's more like a plastic fork. Ah! How am I supposed to know how many fingers you want me to see? Well, this is what you've got to learn, Winston. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes 5. Try hard, get well, get healed. And the process of healing takes a really long time. If you want a picture of the future, Winston, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. No, someday they'll stop you. Something's going to stop you. The spirit of man. And after weeks of torture, O'Brien has him undress and makes him stand naked in front of the mirror and goes, "Ah, the spirit of man, and you are a man? Look at yourself. If you are a man, you're the last of your kind. You are mankind, thank you very much." And Winston is rather broken after this. But they let him recover. He may wash and get some food in his cell. He's even allowed to write. 2 and 2 make 5. But some night in a dream he goes, "Julia! Oh, bugger it!" Then O'Brien enters and goes, "Room 101. No, what's in room 101, by the way? It turns out that it is different for everybody because it is the ultimate individual torture, the ultimate terror for everyone. Look what is facing you there. No, rats! They are going to eat you alive now. And he tries to prevent this somehow and goes, "No, take Julia instead." Thus he has betrayed his love and is now healed from his aberration from the party doctrine, which is why they let him go free. The last chapter, therefore, takes place with Winston at liberty. He is now habitually visiting the Chestnut Tree Cafe, where he remembers how he met Julia again for the first time, by accident really. Nobody opposes that now, because the two of them are so healed, that is, brainwashed now, that they won't commit any crimes ever again. And he goes, "I betrayed you. I betrayed you too." Then he sits in the cafe alone, drinks gin, listens to the news, plays chess until he realizes, "I love Big Brother." It's not only this novel, but the history of National Socialist Germany or Stalinist Russia that teach us if those in power want to control what truth is, then this is just the top of the iceberg, because obviously they've got to hide their true motives and deeds. And this, dear congregation, was 1984 by George Orwell.
Vielen Dank.